Okay, so let's move on to cleaning up your project and putting on jump rings. So I'm looking here and I see there's extra solder here. Again, now you solder both sides, so now you kind of look at it and see, well, what's sticking up that shouldn't be there? And I'm going to let gravity, I'm going to use the side of the flat side of the iron or the side of the iron, let gravity pull it down. I see something there, it's sticking up. Maybe something there. The other thing I like to do is use again, tilt the iron 90 degrees and use the outside of the iron. And I come in and I just clean up there's like you'll see a hole in the solder there. I can point it out here. There's a little hole right there, and that can hold flux, and then you can get corrosion. So I like to go around and use the side of the iron just to get in there. If I don't have enough solder, I can add a little more, like that one needs a little more. Okay. The same with these things. I might go through and, depending on how uneven these look, but they look pretty even, so I'm not going to touch those. Same with the top puckers. You'll see like one right there, one right there. So I'll probably go in and let me line up some solder so if I need it. I'll go in with the tip of my iron and come down and fill in all those puckers. Okay, that one needs a little more. This one's got too much, so I'm going to doesn't have enough. Okay, so you get the idea. So now I'm going to put on my jump rings. So I check it front and back. I look at it. Does it look pretty good? Oh, there's another spot. See? So now I need to decide which way is up. Where do I want my jump rings? Do I want it this way? This way? I think I kind of made it so these two streamer glasses were busier and alike than this one, so I put this one up top. Sometimes I want the top globs to look even size, so I'll pick out globs that look even size. Okay, so now we need to solder on the hooks, which are, they're called jump rings, and they're tinned copper wire. So we're using copper wire because it's stiffer than, say, zinc, but yet we need to, usually when you connect two metals, it's easiest if they already have solder on them and they're pre-tinned. So these hooks are pre-tinned, make them easier to use. They do have a seam, so if I separate that, you can really see that seam. You want to move them back together. You don't want to open it up this way, you open it up this way. And then I need to put that jump ring in a solder seam. So I need to go here, here, or here. And I want one on each side. You don't want to put just one on the tip of a diamond or the tip of a glob, because there's no solder joint there. Over time it will tear away the foil. So it has to go into this kind of solder seam here. So I'm going to put one here and one here. I could put one here, but then it's going to be hard to get it even height-wise there. So I'm going to put them there. So again, I need to flux both pieces of metal I want to connect. Now I could solder, I'm holding again this with needle nose pliers because it's going to get really hot. I could solder it flat in there, but then I'm going to have trouble soldering it to the other side of the glob. So I actually want to level it with the top of the glass. So you want this level right here. Okay. So I usually rest my hand on the table. It helps steady my hand. I get a dot of solder and I tack that side. Okay. And once I tack that side, I can let go and tack the other side. But now you don't want to heat that whole area at once because the jump ring will fall off. So I'll just tack the middle with dots of solder. Okay, and then I'm going to flip that over and do tack left, tack right, and tack middle. Okay, I don't want to heat it all at once, it could fall off. But now the problem is I also want to not see the inside of the ring here. So if I see the inside of the ring, it could pop out. So I'm going to flux inside that ring and I'm going to solder inside that ring. So to get in there, it's hard for my iron to go this way. I'm going to go this way. So again, I'm going to turn my iron 90 degrees. I'll again wipe it once on each side so I can grab a dot of solder, and I'm going to get in there at a 90 degrees. Okay, and I might do 2 or 3 dots in there. And that's pretty good. Now I'll clean it up. I'll look at the front, and I need to mound up that solder nice and high. So I'm going to do the left side, or your right side, left, and then middle. Okay. And then I'll check the back, same thing. It looks like there's enough solder. I just might want to smooth it out by touching down and lifting up. So down, up. So 1/1000 up. But don't heat it all at once. It could fall out. Okay, so now I need to put on my other hook. Again, I'll line up the seams. And that seam is going to get soldered into the joint. And I'm going to tack it so the jump ring is level with the top of the glass. Wipe my iron once on each side, grab a dot of solder, tack it, and then I can let go. So I tack the right, I'm going to tack the left, and then I'm going to tack the middle. Fill in the middle. Flip it over, do the other side. Okay. Tack right, tack left, tack the middle. Now I need to fill in the middle. And I'm looking, this jump ring is sitting a lot higher than this one. So this might be a problem. I'm probably going to have to take this one out and move it. We won't worry about that right now. Is that the one I just put on? Yeah, that's the one I just put on. So let's, because then the snowflake won't hang quite right. So I'm going to move it up just this takes a little skill. Let's see how that looks. Ooh, better. So again, let's see what it needs. I think I just need to fill in the middle there. Am I confusing you guys yet? And I think the flux is dried up because I've been playing for so long, so I'll add a little more flux. And then mound up the solder. So again, don't heat it all at once. Left, right, middle. Look at the back side. Looks pretty good. Okay. So, now I want to, before I do the final cleaning, it's really warm there. I'm going to let it cool a minute. I need to dump it in windex, and if the windex is cold and this is hot, you could get cracking from thermal shock. So let's move on to this one, and I'll put the jump rings on. Where do I want to put them? This is all pretty even. I guess we've got 2 straight lines and 2 squigglies in this, so we'll make this the top. And again, I've done thousands of these, so I'm making it look easy, but it's not. Okay. Another jump ring. And again, I could have put them here or here. Kind of a choice there. You have to think of how the chain's going to hang too. You don't want to put hooks way out here. The chain could interfere. It could end up behind the glass. Okay. Again, I think the hook's a little off, so I'll move it up a little. There we go. And again, you always need to, your iron needs to hit the two metals you're connecting. So it's hard to get it flat in there. I need to go in there at an angle to hit the jump ring on the back side and the foil. Get in there at an angle. Okay. We'll fill in the middle. I got that. Let's see. So I keep wiping my iron once on each side. That looks pretty good. Okay, so now we can go on to cleaning. So what you need to do is neutralize the windex, neutralize the flux, and the way to do that is with windex. So I'm going to take the windex I was using earlier. I like to use old round cake pans. I have them in different sizes, and I'm just going to put the snowflake in there. And again, I waited for the snowflake to cool a little bit. And this way, this will get into all the nooks and crannies and neutralize the flux. So then we're going to take it out, and we'll wipe it. We'll wipe the windex off. Now the windex is still corrosive to the solder and can cause something called white crud. So now after we dry this windex off, I'm going to use 91% alcohol to neutralize the windex. So the order is important. A piece of tape there. Okay, so I've got 91% isopropyl alcohol. You don't want 70% rubbing alcohol. And right now during the pandemic, this is hard to find. You can get 99.9% rubbing alcohol. They also make something called Quick Clean for cleaning stained glass, and it's spelled K-W-I-C-K. You can also use that instead of Windex and alcohol. It just usually costs a lot more money to do it that way. So I heavily alcoholed the cotton ball because I want to make sure I do get into all these crevices with a lot of alcohol. So now I need to make sure I get in here. And get the other side, use a little more alcohol. And then I'm going to get on the outside even, make sure I'm getting everywhere. Another piece of tape. Okay. Put it on a cleaner section of the towel. Get off some of the double stick tape here. So now we're going to, on top of this, we're going to use glass finishing compound to polish the glass and the solder. It also seals the solder so it corrodes less quickly. Well, I won't worry about the tape now. So this is what I like to use, Clarity Glass Finishing Compound. It's a combination of carnauba wax and some other things in it that seal the solder. So I'm going to shake it so it comes out like an even milky white. I don't want it to look like sour milk. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little, you don't want to dump it on everywhere. It's hard to clean off if you get too much on there. I'm just going to put a couple dots on here, and then I'm going to rub it around. Before I need to clean it off, I'll just do that on the other side too and give the first side a little time to dry. I don't want to let it completely dry because then it's hard to clean off. So now I'll go back and I'll use a drier section of the cloth and I'll lightly buff it. And then I'll go to this side and do the same on this side. And sometimes it's hard to get, the bevels tend to be angled, so the finishing compound gets stuck in here. Sometimes I'll get in there with a dowel. And then if you hold it up, sometimes really see-through glass or bevels will look streaky. Yeah, obviously still have to clean that off, but I'll do that later. I like the Costco lens cloths, and I'll get in there, and this will get off the final streaks if you're having trouble getting off all the streaks. Okay, so now let's put some chain on. Again, I'm staying on this towel because I don't want to put the glass back on the dirty flux table. But what I like to do instead of one piece of chain is I do 2 pieces of chain. It'll hang more evenly. Whoops. Huh? Got connected. Okay, let me let my gloves off. I don't really need those anymore. I'll take a clean pair of needle nose pliers, not the ones that have flux on it from the hook. And I've already got one end open. You can open these up. And I'm going to just hook it upward, and then I'm going to, the high points of the hook, I'm going to squeeze it together. Okay, so put the opening upward, and then squeeze it together. And then what I do is I take one more hook, so just a bigger hook usually. And I'm going to make sure these kind of line up, they're not spinning. And then I have this link opened up also. I'm just going to take those and put those on there so it hangs evenly. So now it's just going to hang by this one hook instead of trying to hang it on a bunch of chains. So there's your snowflake. It's all set, ready to go. Hope you enjoyed your project.